Leaving the religion of Jehovah's Witnesses was a journey that reshaped the very core of my identity and my understanding of freedom, love, and personal growth. It was a path fraught with emotional turmoil, profound realizations, and ultimately a liberating sense of emancipation from what I came to see as cultish thinking. For years, my life was deeply entwined with the doctrines and practices of Jehovah's Witnesses. I was born into this faith, and from a very young age, I was taught that this was the one true religion, the only path to salvation. My world was circumscribed by the rules and regulations set forth by the organization, dictating not only my spiritual life, but my personal and social interactions as well. The sense of community within Jehovah's Witnesses is incredibly strong, and for a long time, it felt like a warm embrace. There was a comforting certainty in having all the answers and knowing that I was living my life in accordance with the will of Almighty God. I took pride in being different from those outside the faith, whom we referred to as worldly people, believing that my sacrifices and dedication would be rewarded in the new world to come. However, as I grew older, cracks began to appear in the foundation of my faith. Questions started to bubble up, ones that I had previously pushed aside or explained away using the teachings I had been fed since childhood. I noticed inconsistencies in the organization's policies and teachings, and the responses I received when voicing my doubts were often dismissive or even punitive. The more I questioned, the more I felt isolated within the community that had once been my entire world. The turning point came when I began to see the control exerted over members' lives not as guidance, but as coercion. The fear of disfellowshipping, which would mean complete shunning by friends and family, loomed large. It was a tool used to keep us in line, to deter us from questioning or leaving. The realization that love and acceptance within this community were conditional upon absolute obedience was heartbreaking. Deciding to leave was the hardest decision I've ever made. It meant losing almost everything I knew: my family, my friends, my sense of identity. The aftermath was a tumultuous period of grief, anger, and profound loneliness. I had to rediscover who I was outside the confines of a religion that had dictated every aspect of my existence. Yet, as I navigated this new uncharted life, I found something incredible: freedom. Freedom to think for myself, to ask questions, to explore other perspectives and beliefs without fear of retribution. I began to understand the vastness of the world and the diversity of thought and experience that it contains. I learned to appreciate the beauty in doubt and the strength in admitting, I don't know. The journey away from Jehovah's Witnesses taught me the value of unconditional love and acceptance. I built new relationships based on mutual respect and genuine affection rather than shared adherence to a set of beliefs. I discovered communities that were inclusive and welcoming, where questioning and growth were encouraged rather than suppressed. Looking back, leaving the religion of Jehovah's Witnesses was not just about shedding the beliefs I once held. It was about reclaiming my autonomy and learning to live a life that is authentically mine. It was about understanding that true spirituality is not about fear and control, but about love, compassion, and the freedom to seek one's own path. This path has not been easy, and the scars of my past are still a part of me. Yet I view them not as marks of shame, but as reminders of my strength and my capacity for change. I'm grateful for the journey, for it's led me to a place of greater understanding, peace, and a deeper appreciation of the beauty and complexity of human existence. Continuing on this path of self-discovery and liberation, I found myself delving deeper into the complexities of belief, identity, and human connection. The world outside the rigid framework of Jehovah's Witnesses was vast and varied, filled with shades of gray rather than the black and white certainties I had grown up with. It was both exhilarating and daunting to navigate this new landscape, where the answers to life's big questions were not handed to me, but rather sought out through experience, reflection, and the willingness to remain open to the unknown. In the aftermath of my departure, I grappled with feelings of betrayal and loss. The realization that I had been manipulated into fearing an outside world that was not inherently evil, but simply human, was difficult to come to terms with. I mourned the years spent in a state of mental and emotional confinement, the missed opportunities for growth, and the relationships forever altered by my decision to leave. Yet in this mourning, there is also a burgeoning sense of hope. I began to see my departure not as a loss, but as a rebirth. Freed from the constraints of a belief system that demanded conformity at the expense of personal integrity, I was now able to explore who I was beyond the labels that had been assigned to me. I discovered passions and interests that I had previously suppressed, and I learned to listen to my own voice rather than seeking approval from an external authority. The process of rebuilding my life from the ground up was both challenging and liberating. I sought out new sources of knowledge and wisdom, drawing from a diverse array of philosophies, cultures, and experiences. I learned the value of critical thinking and the importance of empathy and understanding in navigating the complexities of human relationships. Through this exploration, I began to construct a new framework for my life, one that was rooted in the principles of kindness, curiosity, and a deep appreciation for the interconnectedness of all things. Reconnecting with the world also meant facing the reality of my past decisions and their impact on those I loved. The pain of estrangement from family members and friends who remained within the faith was a constant undercurrent in my journey. Yet it also underscored the importance of forging new connections based on genuine respect and shared humanity. I found solace in the stories of others who had walked similar paths and in the shared experience of rebuilding one's life on one's own terms. These connections, often formed in the most unexpected of places, became beacons of light in moments of darkness, reminding me of the resilience of the human spirit. As I moved further away from my past, I also began to reflect on the concept of forgiveness. Forgiveness, not as an erasure of pain and manipulation I had experienced, but as a means of releasing the hold that these experiences had on my present and my future. I learned that forgiveness is a deeply personal journey, one that requires time, patience, and the willingness to embrace the full spectrum of one's emotions. Today, my life is a testament to the power of transformation. It's not without its challenges or moments of doubt, but it's a life lived with authenticity and a deep sense of purpose. I've learned to embrace the beauty of uncertainty, to find strength in vulnerability, and to celebrate the journey of becoming who I'm meant to be. In sharing my story, I hope to offer a beacon of hope to others who may be navigating their own paths out of restrictive environments. The journey toward freedom and self-discovery is a deeply personal and often solitary one, but it's also marked by moments of profound connection and shared humanity. It's a reminder that even in our darkest moments, we are not alone, and that the quest for truth, love, and freedom is a journey worth taking. The paradise I once hoped for was a vision of perfection, unblemished by pain, suffering, or conflict. It was a world where happiness was eternal, where love was unconditional and abundant, and where humanity lived in harmony with divine will. This paradise was the beacon of hope that guided every aspect of my life within Jehovah's Witnesses, the ultimate reward for a life of dedication, sacrifice, and obedience. It was a dream that sustained me through hardships, a promise of a future where all tears would be wiped away, and the complexities and injustices of our current world would be no more. As I stepped away from the confines of that belief system, I was confronted with the stark reality of the world as it is. It's a world rife with suffering, injustice, and inequality, where happiness is often fleeting and pain is a common thread in the human experience. The contrast between the paradise I had envisioned and the reality I now faced was jarring. It would have been easy to succumb to cynicism or despair, to view the world through a lens of bitterness for the years I felt were lost. Yet, as I immersed myself in this new reality, I began to see the world not just for its flaws, but for its beauty and potential for change. I realized that while the paradise I once hoped for was an illusion of perfection, the real world, with all its imperfections, held the genuine promise of growth, transformation, and the possibility of creating moments of joy and peace amid the chaos. This realization did not come easy. It required a profound shift in perspective, a willingness to accept the world in all its complexity and to engage with it with compassion, empathy, and a commitment to making a difference. I learned to find beauty in the imperfections, to see the resilience of the human spirit in the face of adversity, and to appreciate the simple moments of connection and kindness that punctuate our lives. The reality of the world is that it's constantly evolving, shaped by our actions, beliefs, and the choices that we make. This understanding brought with it a sense of responsibility, a realization that while I alone could not create the paradise I once hoped for, I could contribute to making the world a better, more compassionate place. I became involved in causes that were close to my heart, seeking to address the injustices that once seemed insurmountable. Through these efforts, I found a sense of purpose and fulfillment that the promise of a distant paradise had never truly offered. In embracing the reality of the world, I also found hope. Hope in the capacity for human beings to change, to learn from our mistakes, and to work together towards a common goal of peace and equity. This hope was not rooted in naivety, but in a realistic appraisal of the challenges we face and the potential for collective action to address them. The journey from the illusion of a promised paradise to the acceptance of the world's reality has been one of profound transformation. It has taught me the value of living in the present, of cherishing the connections we make, and of striving to make a positive impact in whatever we can. The world may never be perfect, but in its imperfections, there lies the potential for growth, for change, and for the creation of moments of peace and happiness. In the end, the peace I sought in the paradise of my past beliefs is found in the acceptance of the world for what it is, and in the commitment to making it a better place. It's a peace that comes not from the absence of conflict or suffering, but from the knowledge that we have the power to effect change, to bring a little more light into the darkness, and to find joy in the journey, no matter how challenging it may be. This peace, though different from what I once envisioned, is real and sustaining, offering a foundation for a life filled with purpose, love, and hope. To those of you who are currently within the fold of Jehovah's Witnesses, feeling the weight of doubts you dare not voice, I extend my deepest empathy and understanding. The path you walk is one I know all too well, the internal struggle between the teachings you've been imbued with and the questions that bubble beneath the surface, threatening the very foundation of your belief system. I remember the fear that accompanied these doubts, the fear of losing everything and everyone I loved, the fear of facing an unknown world without the safety net of the organization. But I also remember the moment I realized that my spiritual journey and my quest for truth could not be confined within the parameters set by the Watchtower Bible and Tract Society, a publishing company and a real estate empire that demanded unwavering loyalty and obedience. I implore you to look critically at what you've been taught. Ask yourself if a life of servitude and obedience to an organization, one that controls not just your spiritual beliefs, but also your personal decisions and relationships, is truly what you want. Consider the implications of dedicating your life to an entity that requires you to accept its interpretations and directives without question, even when those directives change or contradict previous teachings. The teachings of Jehovah's Witnesses promise a paradise, a world free from pain and suffering for those who remain faithful. This promise is powerful, and the desire for such a world is understandable. But it's essential to ask whether the path to this promised paradise, as dictated by the Watchtower, aligns with your deepest values and convictions. Is the sacrifice of your autonomy, your critical thinking skills, and potentially your relationship with those outside the faith really worth it? Consider the nature of an organization that discourages independent thought, that labels those who question or leave as apostate, and that enforces such labels with practices like disfellowshipping, effectively severing family and community ties. Reflect on what it means to be a part of a group that demands such a high level of control over its members' lives, and ask yourself if this is truly reflecting of a loving, compassionate God. The journey of questioning and potentially leaving Jehovah's Witnesses is undoubtedly daunting. It's a path fraught with challenges and uncertainties, but it's also a path that can lead to a deeper understanding of yourself, to a freedom of thought and belief that's both liberating and profoundly fulfilling. To those of you grappling with doubts, I encourage you to seek out information, to explore perspectives outside those sanctioned by the Watchtower. This exploration doesn't have to lead to an immediate departure or a drastic change in belief. It is, first and foremost, an exercise in granting yourself permission to question, to think critically, and to consider the possibility that spiritual truth and fulfillment might be found beyond the confines of the organization. Remember that you're not alone in your doubts or your quest for truth. There are many who have walked this path before you, who faced the same fears and uncertainties, and who have found a sense of peace and purpose on the other side. The journey may be difficult, but it's also a journey towards self-discovery, toward a life defined by your values, your choices, and your understanding of what it means to live authentically and with integrity. As you navigate this journey, be gentle with yourself. Allow yourself the space and time to question, to grieve, to grow. And know that whatever path you choose, there's hope, there's community, and there's a life of meaning and fulfillment waiting for you. One that's not predicated on servitude to an organization, but on your own terms, guided by your own light and truth. To my fellow travelers who've left the world of Jehovah's Witnesses behind, yet find yourselves adrift in the vast expanse of your new reality, I reach out to you with empathy, understanding, and hope. The journey away from the Watchtower and its teachings is monumental, not just a physical departure from an organization, but a profound emotional and psychological voyage that can leave deep scars and lingering questions about identity, belonging, and purpose. You who have had the courage to step away from what was familiar in search of truth and freedom might still be grappling with the shadows of your past. It's not uncommon to feel lost, to struggle with finding your footing in a world that feels so alien compared to the one you've left behind. The transition can be disorienting, filled with challenges as you attempt to navigate your newfound freedom while mourning the loss of community, certainty, and maybe even family. In the wake of this seismic shift in your life, it's natural to seek comfort and understanding among those who've walked a similar path. The EXJW community offers a sense of belonging, a shared language of experience, and a validation of the pain and struggles that come with leaving. While these connections are invaluable, providing a lifeline during some of the most challenging times, I encourage you to also look beyond this familiar horizon. Building a diverse social network outside of the EXJW community can be a powerful step toward healing and self-discovery. Engaging with people from various backgrounds and beliefs can enrich your life in unexpected ways, offering new perspectives and opportunities for growth. These connections can help you redefine your sense of self outside of the identity that was prescribed to you by the Watchtower. Exploring who you really are is a journey that extends beyond the boundaries of any single community or past affiliation. It involves delving into interests, values, and passions that you may have been discouraged from pursuing or that you never knew you had. This exploration can be liberating, allowing you to construct a life that is authentically yours, defined by your choices, your curiosities, and your desires. As you venture into the world, I encourage you not to limit yourself to consuming content related to the EXJW experience. While it's important to process and understand your past, dwelling exclusively on it can keep you anchored to the very thing you're striving to move beyond. There's a whole world of ideas, philosophies, and experiences out there, completely detached from the realm of the Watchtower and Jehovah's Witnesses. Delve into literature, art, science, philosophy, religion, and the myriad viewpoints that humanity has to offer. These can be sources of inspiration, solace, and incredible growth, providing you with a broader understanding of the world and your place within it. Finding true growth and meaning is a process that involves confronting and accepting your past, but not allowing it to define your future. It's about building a life that reflects who you are at your core, not who you were told to be. This journey might be fraught with challenges, but it's also filled with the potential for joy, discovery, and fulfillment. Remember, the pain of the past is understandable and valid, but your future is not bound by it. You have the power to create a life filled with connection, purpose, and personal truth. Embrace the journey with an open heart and mind, and allow yourself to be surprised at the beauty and complexity of the world around you. In doing so, you'll find not just healing, but a deep and enduring sense of peace and fulfillment. The path forward is yours to shape, with each step away from the shadows of the past leading you closer to the light of your own making. As we step forward on our individual journeys toward freedom and self-discovery, let's widen our perspective and recognize that the quest for liberation extends far beyond the realm of any single organization or belief system. Whether entangled in the doctrines of a religious group, the dogma of political ideologies, the confines of social class, or the divisions of ethnicity, the tactics of control and manipulation are pervasive and indeed strikingly similar. They may manifest more subtly in some contexts than others, but their essence remains the same, and their impact is equally potent in stifling the human spirit. The realization that such mechanisms of influence are not unique in the experiences we've had as Jehovah's Witnesses, but are woven into the fabric of many social structures is both enlightening and daunting. It highlights the universal challenge we face in safeguarding our autonomy, our capacity for critical thought, and our inherent need for genuine connection. The journey out of high control environments illuminates a broader path towards recognizing and resisting the myriad ways in which our freedoms can be curtailed by external authorities seeking to dictate the terms of our existence. In this broader struggle for freedom, the most powerful weapon we possess is our shared humanity. The realization that across all artificial divides of belief, politics, class, and ethnicity, we are fundamentally connected as brothers and sisters is transformative. This is not a naive ideal, but a profound truth that once fully embraced has the potential to dismantle barriers and foster a world built on understanding, compassion, and mutual respect. The divisions that seem so insurmountable are in fact constructs of our own making, fueled by fear, ignorance, and the desire for power. Yet within each of us lies the capacity to transcend these limitations, to see beyond the superficial distinctions that separate us, and to recognize the inherent value and dignity in every person. This is the only real truth that can lead us to the paradise we seek. Not a paradise defined by uniformity and exclusion, but one enriched by diversity and bound by the unshakable recognition of our common humanity. My wish for the world is a collective awakening to this truth, a global realization of our interconnectedness and interdependence. It's a call to shed the chains of division and to embrace the beauty of our shared journey. In doing so, we can begin to build a world where freedom is not just the absence of oppression, but the presence of equity, where love is not conditional on conformity, but offered unconditionally across all imagined boundaries. May we all find the courage to pursue this vision, to challenge the forces that seek to divide us, and to cultivate a spirit of peace and unity. In understanding that we indeed all are brothers and sisters, we unlock the door to true paradise, one where the fullness of human potential can flourish in an environment of acceptance, understanding, and mutual respect. This is the journey worth embarking on. A journey towards a world where, in the recognition of our shared humanity, we find our greatest freedom and our deepest peace.